graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
I've been in Cedar Hill for 13 years now. We moved here when I was 12, just trying to get away from DeSoto and have a fresh start. I met a mysterious lady at the Longhorn Park. I was minding my own business and she told me she thought I reminded her of someone. I thought the lady was demented, but then she started telling me about my life as if she lived it. She told me I was 24 and had recently been fired as a teacher. She got my attention then. She said I was angry and had revenge in my heart. She was right. I'd come to the park to plan out my attack and to get out of the house. The lady told me to tell her my plan. I hesitated. After all, she could testify against me in court one day. But what the heck? It's all hearsay if there's no proof, right? I told her to follow me to the pavilion. We watched as the children played on the playground. I felt guilty. Right across the street is a Jehovah's Witness church. As God is my witness, tonight will be a night of revenge. I asked the lady if she wanted me to tell her what I was planning or if she wanted to come along for the ride. I was feeling extra sinister and an accomplice didn't seem too bad right about now, especially if she had a car. No sense in using my car, right? The lady wanted to hear what I had in mind first. I told her I wanted to get revenge on everyone that has done me wrong. I took my backpack off and unzipped it. After making sure no one was looking, I showed her my weapons. I had a 45mm, 2 butcher knives, a hammer, and a bunch of bullets. The lady was shocked. She reached for my gun and I grabbed her hand. She told me to trust her. She wouldn't hurt me. I told her I don't trust anyone, not even myself. It was getting late, and I was getting hungry, so we decided to talk at Brum's up the street. I used to work there back in 2008. I got a number 2, and she got a large order of fries. We sat down at the very back near the restrooms. I wanted to make sure no one could hear us. I told her I was going to start with my old boss, Delilah McGraw. She fired me because I wasn't Christian enough. Didn't Jesus die for the sinners? The lady looked as if she agreed, so I kept talking. I told her that I know the alarm code and I have a spare key to the school. It's a small private school, so we wouldn't have to worry about too many bodies. The lady jumped up and said, "Let's do it!" She kind of scared me. I told her to calm down so she wouldn't blow our cover. I had a bag full of weapons in the car. So she said she was ready for my revenge. She was done talking about it. She wanted to get to it. We finished eating and headed to the car. We drove to the school and parked in a secluded area. I know the school will be open tonight because they will be having a lock-in. Christians love to fellowship amongst other hypocrites. They will be here at 11 p.m. We arrived just before 9. I wanted to get everything set up for the slaughter. We got out of the car and we quietly walked up to the front door. I knew there were no cameras, so I unlocked the door and the alarm went off. I hurried over and entered the code, 6363. The building was dark and quiet again. We locked up the place and reset the alarm. I made sure everything looked normal, and then we began to find the perfect hiding place. I thought about the very back. It's the best place for an ambush. We waited and waited. I could hear my heart beating. I was wondering if this lady I had just met was really going to go through with this with me, or was I going to have to kill her too? We got our masks and gloves on. We got the gun loaded and the knives and hammer ready. I looked at my phone to make sure it was on silent. It was 9/11. That was a sign. Death was around the corner. It was finally almost time. At 10:55, I heard the alarm go off. I knew it was showtime. We'd already discussed how we would ambush them by the Cubbies near the back. We wanted to get the teachers before the kids got there. We also wanted to kill everyone in the same area. It would be easier on the janitors that way. I heard my old boss turn the alarm off. My heart was pounding and skipping beats. My hands were shaking too. I started having second thoughts, but I had to go through with it. I had to. We were already there, and I'd still be charged with breaking and entering. Might as well add premeditated murder to the list. The lights came on, and my eyes were not prepared for that. I was having problems seeing when all of a sudden I heard a loud yell. Evidently, my boss was not having problems with her eyes. She saw two people dressed in all black standing in the school. I heard other people screaming as well, and my accomplice jumped up and took control. She yelled for them to shut up! I wasn't expecting the kids to be here yet. Everyone was here. The lady ran to lock the door before anyone could run out. My ex-boss yells for me to take the money out of the front desk. It was a tuition for that month. Little did she know I had already taken it. I told her I wasn't looking for money. I was looking for revenge. I noticed my old boss had a Walmart bag in her hand. They must have stopped there for snacks before they got here. As irrelevant as that is to the story, I just thought that was worth mentioning. We lined our 25 students up and put the teacher and my ex-boss against the long wall against the clock in the main entrance. My boss asked me why I was doing this. I said, without blood, there is no remission of sin. I asked her if she wanted me to forgive her for what she did to me, firing me and making me lose everything I was working so hard for. The only way she could be forgiven was to die. I told my accomplice to take the children to the back. She locked the room behind her. I pointed the gun at my old boss and the teacher, my former co-worker. She started to cry. She wanted to know what she did to me. At that point, I took my mask off. They recognized my voice anyway, I thought. I told her she sat around and did nothing while I was persecuted for being human, for making mistakes and not being perfect. I decided to make my boss suffer, so I struck her in the head with a hammer. She had a nice-sized hole in her head, and blood was covering her shirt. My former co-worker was hysterical by this time. I could hear my accomplice trying to keep the kids quiet. She said we had to kill them, or they would turn me in. I really didn't want to kill the kids, but she was right. Technically, they could not see me, but I know they know my voice. I worked here long enough for them to know who I was. My coworker lunged at me in mid-thought. My ex-boss was trying to dial 911 on her cell phone. I struck the teacher in the eye with my hammer and kicked the phone out of my boss's reach. I heard a knock on the door. I told them to be quiet. I asked if my ex-boss had called the police. Did anyone call the police?
No.
Everyone said no. I walked to the door and peeked through the window. It was my boss's husband. My ex-boss, that is. My soon-to-be dead boss. I had not planned on him coming. I started to panic. I'd have to kill him too. Body counts are racking up. They are going to bury me under the jail if I get caught. My ex-boss's phone starts ringing. My accomplice comes from the back and tells her to pick it up and tell her husband to come around back. Why? She asked. Just do it. My ex-boss had just enough strength to tell him to come around back, and my accomplice disappeared with one of my knives. I tossed her the gun. She's gonna need that. He is a big guy. I look my ex-boss and my ex-coworker in the eyes. I feel so much power as I take turns beating them with the hammer. Their brains are all over the walls. With every blow, I think about how bad they made me feel for not being a good enough Christian. They treated me worse than any atheist ever did. Suddenly, my manic rage was interrupted by a loud bang. It had just occurred to me that my accomplice had shot my now dead ex-boss's husband. I hope no one else had heard that. We had to get out of here. My ex-boss and former coworker had to be dead. And if not, they surely could not move. so I went to see what my accomplice was up to. I ran to the back, but I could not find her. I saw my ex-boss's husband crawling on the ground, bleeding, leaving a trail of blood, aka evidence. I go after him in hopes of dragging him back into the building, but who was I kidding? He was heavy and not trying to go anywhere with me. I started to hit him with the hammer and finish him off. I had to get him off of the streets and get the blood up somehow. It was 11:20 by this time, but it felt like hours had passed. There was no way I could get this man back into the building by myself. Where was my accomplice? I just realized I didn't even know her name. I left ex-boss man laying on the ground and rushed back into the school. I wanted to make sure the kids were still locked up in the room. I saw that the door was open. Fearing that the kids had ran out the front door, I started to panic. I peeked into the room, and all I saw was blood and body parts scattered all around the room. All of the kids were dead. One of the students looked as if he was still alive. I rushed over to him. He said, "Liza." I said, "Who?" He said, "Liza shot us." He stopped talking, and I felt like I was alone. Suddenly, I felt like I had to get out of there and fast. If my accomplice did this, what if she tries to pin it all on me? I don't know her. I darted out of the room. I stopped. I don't have a way home. My ride was nowhere to be found. I ran into the main room and grabbed my bag and the remainder of my weapons. I went outside and just started to run as far as possible away from the school. My mind was running. Why would she leave me? Who was Liza? I was hoping everyone was dead so they could not testify against me. Maybe I let my anger get the best of me. Maybe I shouldn't have come here tonight. A car pulled up on the opposite side and almost blinded me with its lights. I was petrified. If anyone sees me with this blood on me, I'm done. My accomplice got out of the car. I was relieved to see her until she pointed my own gun at me. She began yelling at me and telling me that it was because of me that she lost her job. She says the school hired me after they fired her for the same reason. I try not to panic and get her to see that I'm a victim just like her. I had no idea I was taking her place. She said she had a son, and he was taken away because she couldn't afford to keep him after she got fired. I told her if she kills me, she'll never get him back. She said it's over for her now anyway. She just killed 25 kids in Boss Man. My phone was butt dialing my home for some reason all of a sudden. To re-record this message, press 2. Otherwise, hang up. I hung up and continued to try to plead for my life. She said she had been watching me at the park for a few days. She recognized me from the school because she would stalk the place for a few weeks after she was fired, just to kill time because her family thought she was still employed. She said she knew I had been fired because she kept in touch with some of the kids. One of them told her I hung out at Longhorn Park a lot by the rec center on Parkerville in Cedar Hill. "So, you've been stalking me?" "Yep," she said. "Now it's time to pay for taking my place." She pulled the trigger, but she must have been out of bullets. I had the bullets in my backpack, I remember, along with all of my other weapons. She tried to rush back into the car, but I dived on top of her and we tussled on the ground. I heard sirens and I knew someone must have seen ex-dead boss man behind the school and alerted the cops. I beat this girl with my bag until I got the upper hand. I quickly unzipped my backpack and got my knife and stabbed her in the back like she tried to do to me. Literally. Betray me. Betray my trust. I drug her into the car and grabbed my bag. I saw my bloody knife she must have used on the kids, along with the gun. Good thing she didn't leave it in the class. I was too shocked to check. I started the car and made sure she was covered in the back seat. I made sure to drive by the school. I saw cops and paramedics everywhere. I made myself not care. Revenge has no remorse, I kept repeating to myself over and over, over and over and over. I sped past the school in search of a place to finish my accomplice off. I was looking for a place to dismember her body and leave her for the animals to devour when she jumped up from behind the back and made me lose control of the car. It was pitch black dark in a wooded area on 1382, right by Joe Pool Lake when I came to. Then everything went black again. Then I came to again. I was wet. I felt my shirt, and it was drenched with blood. The car was in a ditch, and so was I. My backstabbing accomplice was nowhere to be found again. I was desperately trying to undo my seatbelt that was covered in blood. How was I in the ditch? I don't remember. Everything went black again. I woke up at Charleston Methodist Hospital. Apparently someone saw the car in the ditch and helped me out before I passed out again. I guess they thought I was bloody from the wreck. Where is Liza? I asked. Who? The lady that was with me. You were alone, hon, the nurse said. Some crazy psycho murdered a school full of kids last night. My heart started to beat uncontrollably. Whoa, calm down. You act like you know the killer, the nurse joked. I'm going to check your blood pressure. The reporter said 25 kids and 4 adults died. 4 adults? There were only 3 that I know of. The nurse told me to take a deep breath, and she changed the channel. Try to watch something peaceful, she said. My cell phone rung. It was my brother Nick. I told him to hold on. Did anyone else come in the hospital last night with a stab wound? I asked the nurse. Oh, several. Dallas is full of hoodlums. Get some rest, honey. The nurse left the room. I yanked the IVs out of my arm and took the blood pressure cuff off. I tried to look for my bag. I could not find it. All of my money was in my bag. Maybe it was still with the car. I had no idea if my brother was still on the phone. I wish I had put my money in my pocket where I had my phone. I decided I had to leave the hospital without discharging. I need to find my backpack and find a safe spot to crash until this blows over. But if I leave, I'll look suspicious. Before I could get my pants on, there was a knock at the door. 3 men in suits asked if I was Tiffany Draper. I rushed past them and darted down the hall looking for the nearest exit. I didn't know what they wanted, but I didn't want to find out. My phone was almost dead, and I would be too if I didn't find a solution to my newfound problem of being a murderer. I was standing on the side of the road with my thumb up, looking like a mental patient in the hospital gown with my hair all over my head. I was trying to get a ride. I'm surprised I did. An old white man stopped and asked me where to. I told him to drop me off at Joe Wilson by the new neighborhood Walmart. I texted my brother and told him to meet me there. I needed a ride to get my backpack. The whole way to Highway 67, my brother was talking about his new girlfriend he wanted me to meet.
Traffic is backed right up.
I
There's
told
an
him
accident
about
on
the
freeway
wreck,
that hasn't been
but
cleared
I
away
couldn't
yet,
tell
and
him about
everyone
the
is stopping
murders.
to look at it.
He'd think I was some type of psychopath. Told me I had to hurry up so he can pick her up. Luckily, somehow, the car was still there. It wasn't stripped, and my bag was still in it. My stuff was not in my bag. I started to panic. My brother asked me what was wrong, but was distracted by his phone ringing. My brother started crying. I was confused as to how he went from happy to hysterical. My brother said he had to go because his girlfriend was in an accident. He said Mom wants us to come home. I agreed because I needed a change of clothes. I hope no one notices it's blood on my pants. I guess it didn't matter. I could always blame it on the wreck. I remembered I had the hospital band on my wrist, so I tried all of my power to take it off. I found some scissors in the glove compartment. I cut it off and threw it out the window. On the way home, I tried to comfort my brother. Poor guy. He's acting like he really loved that girl. He must have just met her like 2 months ago. All he cares about is his writings and his book, Magic Affinity. If he was really magic, he could have stopped her from having an accident. Anyway, we pulled up to the house. Mom's car must be in the garage. We get in the house and Mom is crying. She heard about the school massacre and she felt bad for the people involved. I tried to comfort her. At this point, I felt sick in the head. I'm trying to help my mom feel better when I'm the one that caused her to feel like this in the first place. My brother took out his phone. I was going to take Tiff to meet my girlfriend today, he said, but she got into an accident. I hope she's okay. I haven't heard anything else from her parents, he said. He held his cell phone up and showed me a picture of his girlfriend. I almost crapped my pants. It was Liza, my backstabbing accomplice. To be continued.